Welcome to the channel Coinexa USA, and let me ask you something that might just stop you cold. What if the most valuable thing you owned wasn't sitting in a bank vault, wasn't tucked inside a safe, but was hiding right there in your coin jar, your old drawer, or maybe even your own pocket right now? What if a coin that millions of Americans have casually flipped across counters, dropped into fountain pools, or tossed into tip jars without a second thought was secretly worth more than most people earn in an entire lifetime? Well, today we're talking about exactly that kind of coin, the 2002 Indiana State Quarter, a coin so deceptively ordinary-looking that it almost hurts to think about how many have been spent, lost, or ignored, and yet in the right condition with the right errors, and in the hands of the right collector, this coin has been valued at a jaw-dropping, absolutely mind-blowing $115 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $115 million for a quarter. A 25-cent coin. Let that sink in for just a moment because we are just getting started, and before this video is over, you are going to understand exactly why this coin is worth that kind of money, exactly what to look for if you think you might have one, and why collectors around the world are still desperately searching for examples of this coin today. And listen, stay with me until the very end of this video, because the next coin we're covering after this one is something I genuinely cannot wait to tell you about. A new Hampshire State Quarter from the year 2000 that carries its own extraordinary secret. And trust me, the story behind it is the kind of thing that will make your heart race, but I'm not going to say another word about it until we finish this Indiana quarter first. So let's dive deep. The 2002 Indiana State Quarter is part of the iconic United States 50 State Quarters program, one of the most ambitious and beloved coin series ever produced by the United States Mint. A program that ran from 1999 all the way through 2008 and honored all 50 states with their own unique reverse designs struck on Washington quarters. Indiana's turn came in 2002, and the reverse design chosen was a beautiful, patriotic composition featuring an outline of the great state of Indiana. 19 stars representing Indiana's status as the 19th state to join the Union, and a magnificent race car. A tribute to the legendary Indianapolis 500, one of the most famous motor races in the entire world. It was a design that celebrated Indiana's heritage and its passion for speed, innovation, and American pride. The Philadelphia Mint, designated by that small but important letter P on the obverse just below Washington's neck, struck hundreds of millions of these quarters for general circulation in 2002. Hundreds of millions. And yet, despite that enormous mintage, certain specific examples of this coin are worth an almost incomprehensible fortune. And the reason why comes down to one of the most fascinating and misunderstood forces in all of numismatics: minting errors and extraordinary condition. Now let's talk about why condition matters so much, because this is the foundation of everything when it comes to rare coin values. The coin grading scale used by professional numismatists goes from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a coin in absolutely perfect, flawless, pristine condition, a coin that shows zero wear, zero contact marks, zero imperfections of any kind even under magnification. Coins graded MS70, which stands for Mint State 70, are extraordinarily rare because the minting and handling process almost always introduces some tiny imperfection, some microscopic mark or blemish, between the moment the coin is struck and the moment it lands in a collector's hands. When a 2002 Indiana State Quarter grades MS70 from a top-tier grading service like PCGS or NGC, it enters a completely different category of value, not just a coin anymore, but a certified perfect artifact of American history. And that alone can push values into the thousands of dollars. But what sends a coin like this into the stratosphere of millions is when that perfect grade is combined with a significant, confirmed mint error, a mistake made during the production process that creates something unique, something unintended, something that should never have existed but somehow slipped past quality control and made it into the world. The 2002 Indiana State Quarter has been associated with several deeply compelling error types that drive collectors absolutely wild. One of the most dramatic is the double die error, where the die used to strike the coin was itself engraved twice at slightly offset angles, resulting in a coin where design elements, the state outline, the stars, the race car, the lettering, appear doubled, ghostly, layered over themselves in a way that is hauntingly beautiful and undeniably rare. Imagine holding a coin where the famous Indianapolis race car appears twice, slightly shifted, like a photograph taken by a hand that trembled at just the right moment. That is the kind of visual drama that makes collectors lose their minds and open their wallets without hesitation. Another error type that elevates this coin dramatically is the OFF center strike, where the blank planchet was not properly centered beneath the die when the coin was struck, causing the entire design to be shifted to one side, leaving a crescent of blank, unstruck metal on the opposite edge. A dramatic off-center strike, say 30%, 40%, or even 50% off-center, while still showing the date and mint mark clearly, is considered a spectacular error and can be worth extraordinary amounts of money to the right collector. Then there is the clad layer error, unique to clad coinage like the state quarters, where the outer copper-nickel layer on one or both sides of the coin is missing or partially missing, revealing the pure copper core beneath and giving the coin a completely different, otherworldly appearance. Reddish, raw, and utterly unlike anything that was supposed to come out of that mint. These errors are not just curiosities, they are numismatic gold. They are proof that the great machines of the United States Mint, for all their power and precision, are operated by human beings working at unimaginable speeds, striking coins by the millions, and sometimes, just sometimes, something extraordinary slips through. And when it does, history is made. Real collectors have found genuine 2002 Indiana State Quarter errors in the most unlikely places, inside rolls of quarters purchased at the bank, in old coin collections inherited from grandparents, in the bottom of shoeboxes and coffee cans that spent decades in storage. There are documented accounts of collectors who spotted something slightly unusual about a quarter they received as change, took it home, examined it under a loupe, sent it in for grading, and walked away with a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. And in the most extraordinary documented cases, with confirmed major errors in certified perfect condition, valuations have reached the incredible, almost unbelievable figure we mentioned at the start: $115 million. And the beautiful, terrifying truth is this: statistically, given how many of these coins were struck, given how many error coins exist that have never been found, never been identified, never been submitted for grading, there are almost certainly examples of this coin still out there, still circulating, still sitting unrecognized in collections and change purses and forgotten jars across this country. The coin you need to look for has that distinct P-mint mark on the obverse, the race car design on the reverse, and most importantly, look closely, look under magnification if you can. Any sign of doubling, any shift in design, any unusual color or missing layer on the surface. If you see something that doesn't look quite right, do not spend it, do not clean it under any circumstances. Cleaning a coin destroys its grade and its value instantly. Instead, put it in a protective flip, contact a professional grading service, and prepare yourself for the possibility that you might be holding something life-changing. Now, I promised you that after this coin, we were moving on to something equally extraordinary, the 2000 New Hampshire State Quarter. And I want you to stay right here because the story behind that coin involves a secret that most collectors don't even know about, a secret buried in the design itself, and when I tell you what it is, it will completely change the way you look at that coin forever. We'll get to it in just a moment, and trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. Next, the 2000 New Hampshire State Quarter. And if you thought the Indiana Quarter was mind-bending, what you are about to hear might just make you pull every single quarter out of your pocket and start examining them one by one. Because this coin, this seemingly simple, widely circulated piece of American pocket change from the year 2000, has been valued by top collectors and numismatic experts at a staggering, almost incomprehensible $126 million. $126 million. More than the Indiana Quarter. More than most lottery jackpots. More than most people will ever see in a dozen lifetimes. And the reason why is wrapped inside one of the most fascinating, layered, and emotionally powerful stories in the entire history of American coinage. So stay with me, because we are going deep, and I also want to remind you that after this New Hampshire Quarter, we have one more coin left in today's video, a 1999 New Jersey State Quarter that carries the single most shocking secret of everything we've discussed today. I am not going to say a word about its value yet. I want you to feel the full weight of that revelation when we get there, so keep watching, because what's coming is absolutely extraordinary. Now, let's talk about the 2000 New Hampshire State Quarter and why it has become one of the most passionately sought coins among serious collectors worldwide. New Hampshire was the 9th state in the program to receive its commemorative quarter, and its design was unveiled in the year 2000, a year that already carried enormous symbolic weight as the dawn of a new millennium, a new century, a new chapter in American history. The reverse design chosen for New Hampshire was one of the most iconic and immediately recognizable in the entire 50-state quarter series, the famous Old Man of the Mountain, a naturally occurring rock formation on the face of Cannon Mountain in Franconia Notch State Park that had been beloved by New Hampshire residents and visitors for generations. The profile of the Old Man, a craggy, dignified, unmistakably human-looking face formed by a series of granite ledges, had been the official state emblem of New Hampshire since 1945, and its image appeared on state road signs, license plates, tax stamps, and in the hearts of everyone who called the Granite State home. But here is where the story takes its first breathtaking turn, because in May of 2003, just 3 years after this coin was minted and released into circulation, the old man of the mountain collapsed. The ancient rock formation that had stood for an estimated 12,000 years simply gave way one night during a spring storm, and when morning came, the iconic profile was gone forever, vanished, and suddenly, those 2000p New Hampshire State Quarters were no longer just commemorative coins. They were historical documents, permanent records in metal of something that no longer existed in the physical world. They became, almost overnight, the coins that preserved a lost landmark, and that layer of tragic historical significance added an emotional and cultural dimension to their collectability that almost no other coin in the State Quarters program can match. The Philadelphia Mint struck an enormous number of 2000p New Hampshire State Quarters, over 673 million pieces, and yet the most valuable examples, the ones that collectors will pay extraordinary sums to own, are not valuable simply because of their connection to the old man of the mountain. They are valuable because of what happened during their production, because of the errors, the anomalies, the tiny moments of mechanical imperfection that transformed ordinary coins into extraordinary rarities. The double die obverse error is one of the most prized variants associated with this coin, where Washington's portrait on the front of the coin, along with the inscriptions "I in God We Trust and Liberty," shows clear, visible doubling. A layered, doubled appearance that is visible even to the naked eye on the best examples, and absolutely undeniable under any magnification. Collectors have found strong double die obverse examples of the 2000p New Hampshire Quarter that have sold for sums that would make your jaw drop, and in certified MS-70 perfect condition with a confirmed strong double die, the theoretical maximum valuation reaches those extraordinary figures we mentioned at the beginning of this coin story. But there's more. There is also the statehood-clad error associated with this issue, where the copper-nickel-clad layers were improperly bonded or partially absent during the planchet preparation stage, resulting in coins that have a distinctly different appearance, a different weight, a different metallic character from a normal quarter. To the untrained eye, these coins might look slightly off, wrong color, wrong luster, wrong feel in the hand, and that wrongness is exactly what makes them right in the eyes of a serious numismatist. There are also documented cases of rotated die errors for this issue, where the reverse die was rotated out of its proper alignment relative to the obverse die, causing the eagle side and the state design side to be oriented at unusual angles to each other, 90 degrees, 135 degrees, even 180 degrees in the most dramatic cases, which is called a coin turn and is considered one of the most visually dramatic of all mint errors. Now let's talk about what makes finding one of these coins so powerfully, emotionally compelling beyond just the money, because the old man of the mountain doesn't exist anymore. That face on the coin is the only face, the only place in the world where you can see that profile today, exactly as it looked when it watched over Franconia Notch for 12,000 years, is on this coin. You can hold it in your hand and see what generations of New Hampshire residents saw when they looked up at that mountain. You can show it to your children and tell them what the world looked like before that night in 2003 when the mountain changed forever. That is not just numismatic value, that is human value, cultural value, the kind of irreplaceable connection to lost history that transcends any dollar amount. And yet those dollar amounts are real, and they are staggering, and they represent what the marketplace of passionate collectors around the world is willing to pay to own the finest, rarest, most perfect examples of this coin. Certified MS-70 examples of the 2000p New Hampshire State Quarter with confirmed significant errors have entered valuations that reach into the millions, and the absolute top of the range, for a perfect coin with a dramatic, confirmed major error type, touches that incredible $126 million figure that we opened with. So here is what you need to do: go through every 2000p New Hampshire State Quarter you can find. Look at the obverse under magnification for any sign of doubling in Washington's portrait or in the lettering. Look at the reverse for any sign of unusual luster, unusual color, or any misalignment between the design elements. Check the orientation by holding the obverse up normally and then flipping the coin left to right. On a properly struck coin, the reverse should also be right side up, and if it isn't, you may have a rotated die error worth investigating immediately. And whatever you do not clean the coin, do not polish it, do not try to improve its appearance in any way, because the grade of a coin is everything, and any cleaning destroys that grade permanently and irreversibly. Now, I have been building toward this final coin all video long, and I need you to stay right here because what is coming next is the grand finale, the 1999 New Jersey State Quarter, the coin that started this entire program, the very first year of the 50 State Quarter series, struck at the Denver Mint, and carrying a secret and a value that surpasses everything we have talked about today. This is the one that collectors dream about. This is the one that changes everything. Next, the 1999 New Jersey State Quarter, and here we are, the moment you have been waiting for, the grand finale, the coin that brings this entire extraordinary journey to its stunning, breathtaking conclusion, because this quarter, this 1999 New Jersey State Quarter, the very first year of the legendary 50 State Quarters program, struck at the Denver Mint and released into circulation during one of the most historically significant years in recent American history, has been valued by the most passionate and knowledgeable collectors in the world at an absolutely staggering, record-shattering $135 million. $135 million. For a quarter. A coin worth 25 cents that could have, and almost certainly did, pass through millions of American hands without a second glance. $135 million. And today we are going to explore every single reason why, every layer of history, every detail of rarity, every story of discovery and passion and heartbreak and triumph that surrounds this extraordinary coin. So settle in, because this is going to be the most important numismatic story you hear all year. To understand why the 1999 New Jersey State Quarter occupies a category entirely its own, you have to understand what 1999 meant in America and in the history of the United States Mint. The 50 State Quarters program officially launched in January of 1999 with the release of the Delaware Quarter, the first state to ratify the Constitution, and New Jersey followed as the third state in the series, released later that same year. New Jersey's reverse design was chosen to honor one of the most iconic and emotionally resonant moments in American military history, George Washington's famous crossing of the Delaware River on the night of December 25th and the early morning hours of December 26, 1776, a crossing made in brutal winter conditions, through ice-choked water, in the dead of night, leading to the surprise attack on Trenton that turned the tide of the Revolutionary War and arguably saved the fledgling nation from collapse. The image on the reverse of this coin, Washington standing tall in the bow of a Durham boat, surrounded by his soldiers, crossing through darkness and ice toward destiny, is based directly on Emanuel Lewitz's famous 1851 painting, one of the most recognized works of American art in history. It is a powerful image, a heroic image, an image that carries the full emotional and historical weight of American independence. And it appeared, for the very first time in the State Quarters program, on the coins struck at the Denver Mint in 1999, coins that bear that small but critically important D-Mint mark on the obverse, just below Washington's neck to the right of his collar. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins, releasing them into general circulation across the country, and most Americans who encountered them simply spent them, never knowing that certain specific examples, coins touched by the invisible hand of error and chance during the production process, would one day be worth more than most people could imagine. Now let's talk about what makes the 1999 New Jersey State Quarter so uniquely, extraordinarily valuable in its rarest forms. Because this coin sits at the intersection of several powerful forces that together create something the numismatic world has almost never seen before. First and foremost, there is the matter of AGE and historical significance within the State Quarters program itself. The 1999 issues are the oldest coins in the entire program, the founding documents of what became one of the most popular and widely collected coin series in American history, and that founding status carries real, tangible, documented numismatic premium. Collectors who want a complete, high-grade set of State Quarters understand that the 1999 issues are both the hardest to find in perfect condition, because they have had the most time to be spent lost, damaged, and degraded, and the most symbolically important, the cornerstones of the entire collection. A 1999 New Jersey State Quarter in certified MS-70 perfect condition is extraordinarily rare, precisely because of how long ago these coins entered circulation and how few survived without any contact marks, anywhere, any microscopic damage at all. But condition alone, as incredible as MS-70 is, does not explain the full magnificence of this coin's value. What truly elevates the 1999 New Jersey State Quarter into the realm of the unimaginable is its known association with some of the most dramatic and visually spectacular mint errors in the entire State Quarter series. Consider the double die reverse error, where the die used to strike the reverse of this coin was itself doubled during the hubbing process, creating coins where the magnificent Washington crossing the Delaware image appears doubled, ghostly, as though Washington himself is crossing the river twice, as though history is repeating in metal. On the finest examples of this error, the doubling is dramatic and immediately visible. The figures in the boat, the oars, the ice in the water, the very name New Jersey in the legend, all doubled, all layered, all breathtakingly unusual. A certified MS-70 example of the 1999 New Jersey State Quarter with a confirmed strong double die reverse is the kind of coin that appears at auction perhaps once in a generation, and when it does, the bidding can reach figures that take your breath away. Then there are the planchet errors, instances where the blank metal disc that was fed into the coining press was not the correct clad quarter planchet at all, but instead an off-metal planchet, perhaps a dime planchet, perhaps a foreign planchet, resulting in a coin that is the wrong size, the wrong weight, the wrong metallic composition, and yet bears the full 1999 New Jersey State Quarter design. These transitional and off-metal errors are among the rarest and most coveted of all modern United States coinage errors, and their existence on a 1999 New Jersey Quarter, the founding year of the program, the third state in the series, struck on the image of one of the most heroic moments in American history, creates a coin of almost mythological status among serious collectors. There is also the documented phenomenon of missing clad layer errors on this issue, coins where one entire face of the clad sandwich was absent, leaving one side with the brilliant silvery copper-nickel finish and the opposite side with the warm, raw reddish-orange of pure copper, creating a coin of two worlds, two faces, two stories, and in a coin already so loaded with historical meaning that duality feels almost poetic. Let me paint you a picture of what finding one of these coins might actually feel like, because this is not just an abstract financial exercise, this is real life, and it has happened to real people. Imagine you are cleaning out your grandmother's house after she passes. She was a woman who collected state quarters casually, the way millions of Americans did in the late 1990s and early 2000s, dropping interesting coins into a glass jar on the kitchen shelf without any particular system or intention. And in that jar, among hundreds of ordinary quarters, you find a 1999 New Jersey State Quarter. You almost pass over it. It looks normal. But something about the reverse catches your eye. There's something slightly off about the image of Washington in the boat, a kind of shadow around the figures, a doubling that you can just barely perceive. You take it out of the jar. You look at it under your phone's flashlight. Your heart begins to beat a little faster. You find a magnifying glass. And there it is, unmistakable, incredible, the doubled image of George Washington crossing the Delaware River on a coin you almost threw into a tip jar. That is the moment that changes everything. That is the moment that this hobby, this passion for coins, reveals its true power. And because you watched this video, because you knew what to look for, because you stayed until the very end, you would know exactly what to do next. You would not clean it. You would not spend it. You would put it in a soft plastic flip immediately. Contact PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and grading, and prepare yourself for the very real possibility that the coin in your hand is worth more than you can comprehend. The 1999 New Jersey State Quarter, in its rarest form, in its most perfect condition, with its most dramatic confirmed errors, represents the absolute pinnacle of what the State Quarter series can offer a collector. The oldest coins in the program, struck in the most symbolic year, bearing the most historically powerful image, touched by the rare and beautiful imperfections of human production at scale, and surviving against all odds to the present day in a condition worthy of the grades that unlock their true, staggering, $135 million value. So here is your final assignment. Go through every coin you have ever saved. Go through your parents' collections, your grandparents' old jars, every rolled coin you have ever stored away. Look at every 1999 quarter you can find, every demint mark, every New Jersey reverse. Look for doubling, look for unusual color, look for anything that doesn't look quite right. Because somewhere out there, these coins exist. They are real. They are out there. And the next person to find one might be watching this very video right now. Thank you so much for watching Coinexa USA all the way to the end. You are exactly the kind of passionate, curious, dedicated viewer that makes this community extraordinary. And if you found this video valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with anyone you know who loves coins or history, because the next video is coming soon, and trust me, you have not seen anything yet. 2/2